Hey guys, and welcome to another Autopilot video. A lot of people have been asking for a new video for a while. The thing is, I've been waiting for any real improvements, but the fact is that there really haven't been any big changes to Autopilot since November. Until now. So on my way home from work, I got the new 2018.10.4 update. And later, after installing it, I drove to pick up a package and noticed instantly that this was a big update in terms of Autopilot. So I decided to hit the local road, benchmark this update, and see how things stand. So the big difference in this update is that there is a new version of the neural network that's processing what the camera sees, and it's supposedly using the repeaters now as well, which are the cameras that are on the left and right by the front wheels. And so far, I gotta say, I'm really impressed by how they're doing. But this road that I've been using to benchmark Autopilot really does push the whole system to its limits, and I haven't actually tried it yet with this version, so it's going to be interesting to see how it'll hold up. And in just a short while here, I'm going to take a right, and that's when it'll really start, because roads like we're driving right now are not going to be an issue anyway. Still though, it feels more confident, which is just weird. It's just that it's ping-ponging a lot less. I also noticed that it's very quick to allow you to enable Autopilot. Actually, everything seems to feel a little bit snappier. So here everything looks good until the car starts showing in the instrument cluster that the road widens. So it doesn't actually recognize the road as having two lanes. And I'm not really sure why that is. I had it a couple of times also with other firmware versions recently, but here for a while now it does seem to work as it should. I haven't noticed though that it's more often wrong than earlier versions have been. Here though is a very important point. The crest, I am really ready to take over, but the car just stays exactly where it should in the right position, and that is really impressive because that has been an issue with Autopilot for as long as I can remember. Not just Autopilot 2 either. And so here everything is still working fine. It's feeling really stable, really confident. And overall, that's really how I would describe this version of Autopilot. It's very confident, but here again it recognizes, or it thinks the road is only a single lane, a really wide road. And that means I had to take over in case of oncoming traffic, and there's not really any point in trying. So I'll just get through these turns and I'll try to activate it again. But if it keeps doing this wrong, then there really isn't much point in this part. But we'll see. Yeah, well, I mean, the cornering is definitely smoother and it feels confident. It's just that as long as if it's gonna interpret the road as a single lane, then it's gonna be difficult. Yeah, I can't seem to be able to activate Autopilot here. So let's just keep driving. Further up ahead there will be lane markings down the middle, which will make it easier to show how much this version of Autopilot has improved actually. Yeah, and it's probably going to be like this for the rest of the road, so I'm guessing I'm going to skip ahead to the part where we hit the other road actually. Alright, so this road actually is kind of a setback, although it's kind of not, because the other version didn't work well here either. It's just, I kind of expected it to do better. If it had recognized the lanes correctly, I think we would have seen some major improvements here. But I'm guessing that will come later, and it's also not the primary case for Autopilot to be able to drive down a road like this, at least not yet. So I'm really not holding it against it. I'm just really happy with the improvements I have seen so far, and I will be able to show that on the road coming up here. So I'm gonna take a left. And as you can see here, we have lane markings down the middle, which means that we actually can test how it works. Alright, so autopilot on. It's increasing the speed for me. All doing well. And I just gotta say, it feels really stable. There's no ping-ponging from side to side, which even when it's very subtle, you'll notice a lot about. The corner coming up here, it didn't do that well in previous versions, but here it's just exactly where you want it to be, between the lines, doing great, and it feels just so much more confident than the previous versions. There's not really any hesitation, and yeah, I mean, I look in the mirrors and I actually see it staying within the lines, and that's just really nice to see this improvement. It's actually more of an improvement than I would have expected. But the next turn will actually show even better, because this combines both a sharp turn and a crest. And with the previous one, it would have driven me off the road. So let's see how it handles. So it stays, it's just, wow, it's just really smooth, and I'm actually really impressed. This is some seriously good news for people waiting for Autopilot updates. I think we got some good things coming up. Now the only thing is that because it didn't show or detect the road as having 2 lanes earlier, we didn't really get to see how much this firmware actually has improved Autopilot. But I think I might have a solution. So I'm gonna take a left here, and I'm gonna try the road down here, which both Autopilot 1 and 2 failed on. But it does have lane markings. So this road here, I've never been able to drive the whole way without having to disable Autopilot at some point. It starts off nice and easy. 60 kilometers an hour speed limit. Autopilot speeds up for me. Again, I just gotta say, it feels really confident. Here we get to the part where it goes up to 80 kilometers an hour. Again, I let Autopilot increase the speed, and this turn right here is always an issue, but it just stays perfect within the lines. No hesitation at all. This actually opens up Autopilot for a lot of roads where I earlier wouldn't have driven with Autopilot on, because it just feels so much better. I mean, it doesn't even take that much of Autopilot failing before you feel like I shouldn't use this on roads like this, because it's just not, you have to be babysitting it the whole time, and it's almost easier to just do it yourself. But here it just feels great, and somehow after just a few kilometers I almost felt like, yeah, I really didn't have to babysit it as much. Of course, you're still gonna stay alert and be vigilant and keep your hands on the steering wheel. So here again, we got a turn to the right coming up, and again it would always swerve into the other lane, and it's really, yeah, wow, it's just doing great. It's really staying nice within the lines, and it just feels so smooth. That's as well. With the other one, I often felt that like the speed may have been the issue, that it didn't decelerate as it should, but here it's just, yeah, doing the speed limit and works great. However, part of the turns coming up now, it's gonna have to slow down a bit, and it'll be interesting to see how it handles them. So here it's the speed limit is 60 kilometers an hour, and first we got to turn to the right, which again always the car would swerve into the lane on the left, and it stays really nicely in the corner. Steering a little bit in, exactly how I would do it myself, and it steers a little bit out towards the end. Really comfortable. But here, this part is kind of tricky, and it actually slows down to 49 kilometers an hour before speeding up again, which is really nice, really comfortable, and it just worked really well. I find this really impressive. And yeah, at this point I'll just take over myself, because I don't want it to accelerate towards the roundabout. But this is the first time I've been able to drive the stretch with autopilot, and it's just worked the whole way, and I never had even the feeling that I should consider taking over. Yeah, this is good stuff. So yeah, this is actually really nice to feel that we got some serious updates showing up now, and probably on the horizon going further as they're working out the kinks. And I just want to quickly mention that I also drove this on the highway earlier, and it just felt really solid. Because the main thing that I felt held back Autopilot 2 when compared to Autopilot 1 was that Autopilot 1 was just really smooth, while Autopilot 2 kept doing these really small adjustments from side to side. And actually Autopilot 1 did that too at some point, but the thing is that those really small adjustments, you can really feel them when you're in the car, and they just seem to be fixed. It's really, really nice, and that just makes this version of Autopilot feel all the more confident. And as for lane changes, they were really smooth, which is nice. I mean, but it's too early to tell though if it's going to be like that always, because I've earlier noticed on one firmware I could have a really big spread between how comfortable lane changes would be. Sometimes it would be as if you're in an action movie, and other times it would be like a professional driver. So that's kind of too early to tell, but for those lane changes that I did, it was doing really good. So all in all, I feel that this is a big step forward for Autopilot, and that's a long time since I've said that. And it makes me feel optimistic about the future updates we're going to be getting. So if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Right, see you guys next time.